No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Dynamite for November 30th, 2022, closing out the month of November. It's been a busy one between Full Gear and Survivor Series. Shout out to all of the early birds: Shanti, Randy Engel, Dave Scheffler, Calvin Bowman, Joey Perez, Raymond Williams, Nick Glavin, Ken Terminates DQ. Thank you all for tuning in early. Very much appreciated. Love the early birds. Now, let's get into the show. We kicked off Dynamite with the former world champion, Jon Moxley. He talked about his history in Indianapolis. It's been a crazy-ass ride. But he said that AEW, that ring belongs to him. 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and Jon Moxley. He said nobody has the balls to step up to him. And that's when all of a sudden the music of Hangman Adam Page hit. Adam Page is back after suffering a concussion in October. Happy to see him back. Glad he's okay. And he got into the ring. Moxley questioned if Page was sure about this after what happened last time, wondered if Page even remembered what happened, and that's when Page attacked Moxley. They brawled all over the place. Security ran down, and it was your pull-apart brawl scenario where the officials tried to hold them back and they would break through. The crowd chanted, "Let them fight." I like Adam Page's surprise return. I'm not the biggest fan of the pull-apart brawls. At least for this one, it made sense. Page has a vendetta against Moxley. It's personal. And then later on backstage, they were still brawling. They were fighting all over the place, and they ended up, I guess, being escorted out of the arena, which did make sense considering what happened later. Next up, we had our first match of the evening. We had Bryan Danielson versus Dax Harwood. The crowd was ready for this one. They chanted, "This is awesome," before they even locked up, like right when the bell rang. Dax tried to apply the sharpshooter early, but Bryan got to the rope, and Bryan slipped to the outside of the ring. And then later on, Bryan sent Dax to the outside, went over the top with a dive, which actually sent Dax over the barricade into the crowd. And then after a commercial break, they traded clotheslines and strikes. They took each other down. Dax hit a slingshot Liger bomb, but Bryan kicked out of that. And then Dax put on the sharpshooter, but Bryan was able to escape that. They traded some near falls, and then Bryan finally got the label lock on and picked up the victory. Match was really good, as you would expect from these guys. My only complaint is that anytime Dax Harwood is in a singles match on AEW television, he doesn't win. Maybe he did win one and I'm forgetting it, but I feel like every time he's in a singles match, he ends up losing. Maybe he won like the first round of the Owen tournament, but he loses almost every singles match that he's in. So to me, that kind of makes these matches anticlimactic, but it's the right move because Bryan is probably going to be in line for an AEW world title shot, and Dax is, after all, a tag team wrestler. We had a little promo from Ricky Starks backstage. He is the next person to get a title match. That will be at Winter is Coming. He's coming for MJF's spot. And then we had Renee Paquette interviewing in a backstage segment. I guess it was on location in like Tennessee or something. I'm not sure. But she was interviewing Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. and the Jericho Appreciation Society in the same room. And the idea was that everybody agreed in advance to not touch. Now, Claudio talked about wanting to win the Ring of Honor title, how it was his first title. And then Jake Hager said that Claudio needs to wear Jake Hager's hat. That's a gimmick now. Jake Hager has the hat. And Claudio did not wear the hat. Claudio said he's sick of the JAS. He stormed off. And then Yuta challenged JAS to a tag team match next week. And I guess at the Ring of Honor Final Battle pay-per-view, it's going to be Yuta versus Daniel Garcia again for the pure title. They're the new Rock and Austin as far as just wrestling over and over again, or the next John Cena versus Randy Orton. I guess these guys are destined to fight forever, as the slogan says. Next up, we had AR Fox getting a crack at Samoa Joe's Ring of Honor TV title, I think it is. There's so many titles, I have to make sure I keep track of it properly. I believe it's the TV title. AR Fox just signed with AEW, by the way, and it was a pretty basic match. He did get in a little bit of offense, but it was pretty much Joe all the way through. And Joe did pick up the win with the Muscle Buster. And then after the match, Wardlow interrupted Samoa Joe's promo, where Joe was calling himself the one true king of TV. Wardlow said he is coming for what is his, and that, of course, is the TNT Championship. We had William Regal come into the ring, and there was something in the ring. There was a sheet draped over something in the ring, and MJF was introduced, the new AEW World Champion. He gave Regal a hug, and then Regal stood there as MJF revealed that he got an email from Regal after the firm attacked MJF. And Regal had said that MJF became weak, and MJF does have the potential to become the greatest villain of all time. According to this email, Regal said that MJF can reach his full potential, but must grab a different kind of ring instead of the Dynamite ring. He must grab the brass ring. And then MJF continued his promo, talked about the firm, said that he kind of respects them, but he's not going to chase them down because that takes effort. He said regarding the championship, it needs an upgrade, and it reminds him of the men that held him previously, and it makes him a bit sick. He said that the current version of the AEW title is garbage, so he got rid of it and lifted up the sheet to reveal a new big Burberry belt, the Triple B. And he said that there are fake tough guys out there coming after him like Eddie Kingston and Ricky Starks. He said he is going to be champion until the bidding war of 2024. And he said that he hopes the other Khan, good old Jolly St. Nick, and Trips will deliver him the big money deal. But he said if neither side, neither wrestling promotion offers him the right money, then maybe it will be Hollywood that wins. Then he talked about how he's going to be champion for so long that Bruno Sammartino will roll over in his shitty little grave. He said the end of the MJF, or the era of MJF, the reign of terror has just begun. He then started praising William Regal. But then swerve. Regal got laid out by MJF, courtesy of Regal's own brass knucks. MJF then said the game has changed, and then he quoted the old email from William Regal that was sent 7 or 8 years ago that was referenced on Dynamite last month, a month or two ago. And MJF said that he only hires world-class athletes, and when Regal becomes one, send him his stuff. MJF left the ring. Officials came down. They put a neck brace on Regal, and they took him away. Regal was sent off in an ambulance. He was stretchered out of the arena. Bryan Danielson was there. He was concerned for Regal's well-being, and it was quite the segment. I really enjoyed it. To me, this was one of the heaviest angles that we've ever seen on an AEW show, with the full stretcher job. And they actually showed replays of it, which AEW doesn't always do. They showed the replays. I thought it was a really strong angle to firmly establish MJF as the ultimate a-hole. And it was a nice swerve. I did not see it coming personally. I thought it was fantastic. And Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, think MJF heard all the talk about him not being able to get heel heat anymore? Well, you know MJF reads everything. And he even brought this up during his promo, how people are making all these comments about him and so on and so forth. So he even referenced it during the segment. If I did have to nitpick a little bit, I think that the segment was maybe a little bit too long. Felt like it went on forever. Maybe they could have cut it down just a little bit. It was a lot of talking, but the end segment with Regal, extremely well done as far as I'm concerned. Moving on here, we had Ricky Starks versus Ari Daivari, and the Firm immediately interrupted. Matt Hardy was there. Matt Hardy works for them now, and Ethan Page said that they own his ass, and they told Matt to go to the back. Matt is going to help Page win the Battle Royal next week. They're doing a new Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal, and then Page vowed to become the next AEW World Champion, beating MJF after MJF beats Ricky Starks. We'll see about that one. Ricky Starks was attacked from behind by Daivari, but quickly made a comeback and made short work of Daivari. Hit the spear, got the win after hitting the Rochambeau. Very quick match, squash match basically. And Ricky Starks picks up some momentum heading into Winter is Coming, although I think it's highly unlikely in all likelihood that Starks wins the AEW World title. I think there's a much better chance that MJF is champion until the bidding war of 2024, but we'll see. Backstage, we had Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, and Rebel interviewed, and they're doing a sit down with Saraya coming up on Rampage, and Jamie Hayter, the women's champion, wanted to know where her sit down interview was, and apparently Tony Schiavone will be doing it on next week's Dynamite. Then we had Anna Jay versus Willow Nightingale right around the 9:20 mark of the show. I like Willow's music. Very Michael Jackson, off the wall-esque. I dig it. She might actually have a shot at becoming a pretty big deal in AEW. We'll see. So Anna Jay got in some offense. It was a very basic match. You did have the interference. Willow was on the verge of winning. Ty Conti got on the apron. Willow took a shot at her. Anna Jay attempted to take advantage, but Willow thankfully was not a really stupid babyface that lost here due to a distraction. Willow did take out Anna with a lariat, hit the doctor bomb, got the win. And then afterwards, once Willow left, the music of Ruby Soho hit. Ruby Soho is back after having a broken nose at the hands of Anna Jay back at the All Out pre-show. And Ruby Soho ran down, went right after Ty Conti, and they fought on the outside of the ring. And Ruby dropped her on the ramp with the Destination Unknown finisher. Happy to see Ruby Soho back. We got 2 big returns on this show. So pretty loaded Dynamite between that and the William Regal angle. And they set up a match for Rampage with QT Marshall versus Orange Cassidy in a lumberjack match. QT pitched this and Orange Cassidy was like, whatever. Typical OC. And then we had Jade Cargill. We had back-to-back women's segments between 9:15 and 9:30. Jade Cargill celebrating that she got her TBS title back from Nyla Rose, who stole it. And Jade Cargill was dressed up with these Benjamins covering up her areas. And she talked about the baddies. And she told them, she basically warned them to get in line. She talked about being the brightest star that AEW has, talked about how she puts asses in seats. And I will say this, I don't think her delivery was very good. Definitely not even close to an MJF level. So yeah, this was a bit difficult to watch. And then we had her start ripping into Little Bow Wow, and pretty much right on cue, because this is a choreographed show, Little Bow Wow appeared on the screen instantly as soon as his name was dropped. And I guess he is going to be coming for Jade Cargill. He's not touring right now, and I guess he's looking for payback. So there you go. I honestly have no interest in this whatsoever. I've heard of Little Bow Wow, but not really familiar with his work, and just don't have any emotional investment in this. And then we had a little backstage segment to make sure that it's Acclaimed every Wednesday. The Acclaimed backstage with Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn was acting like a drill sergeant, and I guess they are going to issue a challenge to the second best tag team in AEW. Then we had our main event of the evening, the Elite, in the 3rd of 7 matches against the Death Triangle. Death Triangle leading 2-0. Elite were feeling a bit desperate, so what did they do? During the Death Triangle's entrance, they ran up the ramp, attacked Death Triangle, and we had a big brawl. Match did not even start for the first several minutes. The Lucha Brothers hit stereo cutters on the ramp. And then after the commercial break, the match finally started with these teams. And you had Phoenix and Pac powerbombed on the apron. Matt Jackson accidentally took out the referee at one point. And then Penta hit a big dive to the Elite, and Penta had a hammer, but Phoenix tried to stop him. Omega then took down Phoenix with a V-trigger and then hit a V-trigger to Penta, but Pac broke it up, and then they hit the Fear Factor to Omega, but Omega kicked out of that. Matt Jackson came in, did his double Northern Light suplex, and then Pac hit a Falcon Arrow, but there was another kick out. And all this was going on, typical match with these guys, lots of chaos. And then after the commercial break, we had some semblance of normalcy, like a regular tag match, but then it quickly broke down again. They hit the Fear Factor to Matt, and then Phoenix hit a dive to the outside, and then Penta hit a dive to the Elite. Pac went for a cover, but Matt kicked out, so Pac went up to the top rope, was going to hit the Black Arrow, but Matt got his knees up, rolled up Pac, and got the 1-2-3 victory, which gives the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega their first win. Match was very entertaining as usual from these guys, and I like how they did the whole thing at the beginning with the attack and the brawl on the outside. just to change it up a little bit. That's a positive. You got to come up with some different things to keep these matches fresh if you're going the full 7, which I certainly expect to happen. And then after the match, Kenny Omega briefly got on the mic, talked about how he finally gets to close the show, and there's not going to be a sweep as long as the cleaner's around. It's going to be, if anything, a reverse sweep. They plan on winning 4 in a row. And then he did his whole thank you, good night, bang. And that was the end of Dynamite. Really strong show this week. A few weak points, a few segments that maybe could have been cut a little bit shorter. And I dare to say the MJF segment could have been a little bit shorter. But all in all, love the angle with MJF. Main event was really fun. I enjoyed the opening segment as well with Moxley. And it made sense because Moxley had his issue with Adam Page, so he could not focus on William Regal, who was out there. Moxley warned Regal to not come back, but Regal did. However, Moxley was out of the picture. So that logically made sense, and I appreciated that. I am giving the show a B+. Very good Dynamite. And like I said, the 3 segments to check out: the main event, MJF's segment, and then the beginning of the show with Moxley and Adam Page returning. Dylan sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Dylan. Appreciate it. Says, your thoughts on Eddie Kingston being the one to dethrone MJF? I know most people expect Wardlow to be the one, but Eddie Kingston really won me over. I just feel like Eddie has cooled off so much that he might not be the best choice. And I think at the end of the day, you want to go with youth and go with somebody who is going to be the future. Eddie Kingston is great and all, but like I said, he's cooled off a bit. And also, he's not the youngest guy in the locker room. Wardlow makes sense because he's on the younger side. And you got time. You got perhaps a year or more of this MJF title run, and we'll have to see who rises up. Maybe it's somebody we're not even thinking of. Maybe it's somebody who's not even on the radar right now. I definitely would like to see Eddie Kingston get a shot at the title. And the fact that MJF mentioned that Eddie Kingston is never going to be a world champion, that makes me think that at some point Eddie will get a title opportunity. But they got to build him up a bit and let him get like a really good, solid pay-per-view win before he challenges for the title. That's it for Dynamite, everybody. And quick plug, the NoDQ.com year-end awards for 2022. 23 straight years of doing this. The first poll is now up on the website. Check it out, NoDQ.com/features. You can vote on the polls there. And there will be a live stream coming up where we will give our predictions for the year-end awards. Stay tuned for that coming up very soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com. And I will see you all next time.